Hello! Welcome to my channel, Edible Thoughts Makes. My name is Stephanie, and this channel is where I share with you my works in progress, finished projects, things I'm cooking up, books I'm reading, funny things my kids may say. My hope is that as you watch this episode and the previous episodes that you find some inspiration along the way. It is the beginning of February, year 2023, and it is a very cold and sunny day in Minnesota where I live with my husband and our 2 children. It has been a cold winter. We're actually in the middle of an Arctic blast, as they would call it. We've had temperatures that are minus 27 Fahrenheit. That's including the wind chill. That's the feels like temperature, which if you've been watching for a while, you know that's the temperature I count. Yeah, if that's what it feels like, why wouldn't I use that temperature? And if there's wind, it's so much colder, and so any other temperature would just be misleading in my opinion. So yeah, it's been pretty chilly. Let's see what it is currently. Currently it is 8 degrees Fahrenheit, breezy, sunny, and minus 10 because the wind is making it feel colder. Yep, pretty chilly. And since we haven't really been much above freezing, the snow that has fallen just keeps piling on, and it is really beautiful outside, especially when the sun is shining and it's sparkling and it has the blue shadows and the peachy glow. It's just absolutely beautiful. And yes, it's cold, but you just layer it on and you go outside anyway. So yes, that's the weather for you. What is the weather like where you are? Are you cold? Are you snowy? Are you in the southern hemisphere and it is the middle of summer? What is it like where you are today? So usually I like to tell you what I am currently drinking. And I initially made a decaf Earl Grey, but in the rush of things, I forgot about it. It oversteeped, and oversteeped Earl Grey to me tastes like soap. So I had to start over, and then this time I was like, okay, maybe I'll go with something different. I'll go with an herbal tea that if it ends up steeping over time, it's not really as big of a deal. It doesn't taste as funky. And so I decided to go with an elderberry echinacea tea. Well, I also forgot about it, but this time it's because I was waiting for the water to boil, and the water boiled, and then I just never poured it into my mug. So the tea was not sitting in any water, so it was doing nothing. Yeah. So now I am just waiting for my tea to continue steeping. I don't know if you can see the steam. Oh, I love seeing the steam come out of a mug. I just love it. And I think I have a yarn fuzz in there. Maybe I will try to get that out of this hot water. I think I got it. Okay, moving on. Let's see, what did I want to tell you? My videos have closed captioning provided. You'll click on that CC button. For some reason, on the previous video, it was taking multiple days for YouTube to upload its auto captioning. And then what I do is I go in and edit the auto captioning because sometimes the words don't come out as intended, and just to kind of fix spellings and things like that up. But yeah, last time for some reason it took several days. So then I ended up publishing it to see if it would speed it up. And it did, and then it came out within, I think, a day after. I don't know if it was past 24 hours or not, but anyway, then I could go in and do those editing for the closed captioning. So we'll see what happens this time. I don't really know, but closed captioning is always provided. If I talk too fast or too slow for your liking, YouTube also allows you to adjust the speed. You can go faster or slower. Links to everything that I talk about will be in the description box below this video. Sometimes you have to click on the little arrow or show more. It may look different depending on how you're watching, on a TV, on a mobile device, on an iPad or tablet or whatever it may be. But there usually should be a thing to click on for show more. Although I don't know if you can do that on a TV. Anyway, links are in the description box below this video. I do use Ravelry for my project pages, and so you can click on those projects if you want to see more on that. Usually I try to say everything that would be on those project pages here on this video for accessibility reasons, and also just to be able to talk a little bit more about the projects versus just like bullet points of whatever, like needle sizes, things like that, but the information is there. I think that's it for that. Yeah, so I do have quite a bit to share with you today. Most of them are works in progress. A couple of them I think are new since the last time we chatted, which is about 2.5 weeks ago, I think. Maybe 2.5 weeks ago. There's been lots of baking, as you will have seen in the vlog in the beginning of this episode. And oh, if you're new here, a big welcome. And also, just so you know how I format my videos so you know what to expect, usually there's a vlog compilation of little scenes that would have been from the last time I recorded, which is usually about 2 weeks, sometimes more, sometimes less. And then I go into like an intro, life chat, usually talk about the weather because I like to talk about the weather. And then we go into finished projects, works in progress, and then there's an eats and reads section where I might talk about things I've been baking, cooking, things like that, and any books that I've been reading recently. And then I realize that sometimes I end up lumping this like miscellaneous life stuff into that eats and reads section because it just kind of wraps it up at the end. And I realized that maybe I should put a timestamp for a separate, even if it's only a few minutes, because if anyone ends up skipping the eats and reads section because it's just not interesting to them or whatever the case may be, you kind of miss that last part. And I mean, it might not really matter, but since I'm doing like chapters or section timestamps anyway, I might as well, I guess, be accurate about it. I don't know. I'm not trying to overcomplicate things. I'm just trying to keep it organized. And if you've been watching for a while, you may know that I like to keep things organized. I am a list maker. This is just how my brain works. And some of it is for myself as well. If I'm going back to look for things, if I'm checking whatever, it's just easier to find things if there are timestamps for different sections. And so I haven't entirely figured out how I'm going to do that last part. Maybe it'll just be titled based on whatever it is that I'm talking about. Sometimes I do like a question for you and for me, or like homework assignment type of thing. Homework, well, to me homework might sound fun, but to you it might not sound fun. So maybe it's not homework, but I don't know what to call it. Anyway, I do have a question for you today, and I will put that at the end. So maybe I'll just call it like question of the day, or question for you, or something, or food for thought, or I don't know. I'll come up with something. So with that, I think we'll get started. So let's start with finished projects. I have one to share with you today, but before I jump into that, I'm going to tell you what I am wearing. So in my previous episode, episode 99, I talked about a coloring book raglan that I modified into a slipover. And that pattern is by Amy Scher. And basically I was able to use all the stitch counts, but like modify it in a way that I envisioned that I wanted it to be. I knew the fit was going to be really comfortable, so the stitch counts worked for me, and then I just played around from there. So today I am wearing the one that I tested for Amy back in, let's see, when did I do this? A year ago, I believe. I started it December 2021, finished it January 2022, and I believe the pattern was released shortly after, let's see, February 2022. It is a worsted weight pattern, and it comes in various views, and you can kind of mix and match what you want. I won't go into super detail about it since I have talked about it before, and last time I talked about like my modifications and stuff, but this one, oops, sorry, is the one that I initially made, and I followed the pattern. I did not make modifications. I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Worsted, which is a non-superwash wool, and I love it. It is a very, how would I describe it? I feel like it's still next to skin soft. You might feel a slight prickle if you are very sensitive, but it blocks out very nicely. I would say it's still drapey, but it's not going to be like like super fluid drapey, like you might find a superwash merino. Anyway, I don't know why I got on that tangent there, but it is knit on US 8, which are 5mm needles. Ribbing, I believe, is on US 7, which is a 4.5mm needle. You can do wide stripes, skinny stripes, no stripes, whatever you want. There's a great detail of twisted rib along the side that continues into the sleeve and merges with the cuff and the hem, which I find particularly delightful. And yeah, I love it as a layering piece. I will say it is not great for winter jackets. Because of the deeper raglan, you get stuck and kind of bunched up, which is why I made my slip-over version with no sleeves, and it's much easier to wear under a winter coat. Still feel warm, my core is warm, but I don't have the bunchiness issue where I can't get into my sleeves. So this is a great layering piece. I think it's good for transitional weather or just where you aren't as cold maybe. But here, I mean, we definitely need to wear a winter coat, and it doesn't really work very well. But yeah, so this is my coloring book, Raglan by Amy Scher. Oh, and I guess I should tell you the size I knit and stuff. Sizes available are 35 inches to 67-inch chest circumference. I knit the second size, which is a 39-inch finished chest circumference, which gives me about 7 inches of positive ease, 6 to 7 inches, which is perfect for layering for me. And this hits me at like just past the top of my hip bone, which for me I considered a cropped length. Like, I don't wear super cropped stuff, but I feel like high hip is a cropped length for me. Otherwise, full length I feel like is several inches past hip. So yeah, it is a good layering piece for me. I can wear it with high-waisted skirts. High-waisted jeans, I feel like it like just overlaps maybe the waistband, and I would probably still wear like a tank top or something underneath, or like I like wearing a collared shirt where it sticks out, so don't tuck in the collared shirt, let that hang out the bottom, and with the collar on top, I think that looks really nice, and the sleeves can be rolled up. But yeah, it's a very versatile piece. I like it a lot. So the first finished project I'd like to share with you are a pair of blueberry waffle socks. Here we are. So I was talking about the snow earlier. I think I was, right? With the blue shadows and peachy glow. I decided to call these socks Snow Day socks, inspired by just that. The yarn is the Farmer's Daughter Fiber Sock Squad sock set from, let me see, July 2022. The colorway is called Bison Blues, and it is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, 463 yards for 100 grams, which I like held double because it's a light fingering weight yarn, and when I hold it double and use a US 3, which is a 3.25mm needle, I find it to be the perfect weight for DK weight socks. It's not too thick, it's not too thin, it's a great gauge fabric density that I like. And the blueberry waffle socks is a pattern by Sandy Turner, I think? Turner. Yeah, Sandy Turner. It is, excuse me. It is a free pattern, and I believe it's just written for one size at like 52 stitches cast on in a US 4 maybe, or 5. It's really stretchy because of this texture, but I modify it for a 48 stitch cast on and US 3 needle size. And it fits my feet. It fits me really well. I wear a US 7 shoe. I have an 8-inch foot circumference, and did I say US 7? I think I said US 7 women's shoe and 8-inch foot circumference. Yeah. And I knit these slightly different from the one I showed you last month, where I just extended the cuff a little bit longer. So I did a 2x2. I did Old Norwegian cast on for a stretchy cast on, knit 2, purl 2 for 20 rounds, and then I went into the pattern. The stitch pattern, it's basically knit 2, purl 2, 2 rounds, and then knit even, knit all stitches 2 rounds, and you just end up with this really cool waffle texture. I subbed in a shadow wrap heel. I follow the tutorial by Denise of Earth Tones Girl. I just love this heel. I find it so easy to memorize, easy to put in anywhere, and it's comfortable. So that's what I did. And let's see, I did 40 rounds for the leg, and then for the feet I did 48 rounds, and then did a toe. And then what was nice is that, so the yarn started out, I think I started out with 104 grams, and I ended up using 98 grams total. And this is what I have left. I knit my socks 2 at a time on their own needles. That way I can do 2 cuffs at a time, then do leg, leg, heel, heel, you know, things like that. And just kind of keep playing catch up with each other, so my mind is always in that same frame of mind when I'm knitting those sections, and then I don't get second sock syndrome. I finish them at the same time. I don't feel like I have to start all over again and knit the same sock again. It just works really well for me. Plus, they're on their own needles, so if I end up wanting to just take one sock with me out somewhere, I don't have like a ton of stuff. Granted, it's not that much, but it is double, right, if you have to take all of them because they're all stuck together. But yeah, I can just take one part. But this is the yarn that I have left. And these will probably go into mittens, or what was that? The other thing that I was talking about? Socks. Mittens or socks. It's just so pretty. I love how neutral it is, and yet there's interest to it. The light blue is like just like the shadows on the snow. Oh, I love it. So I have, what, 5 grams left? Which is perfect for 5 or 6 grams. Anyway, just enough for stripes on socks, or, you know, color blocking in fingerless mitts or whatever. So, love these socks, and I look forward to knitting probably more of them throughout the year. Speaking of the Farmer's Daughter fibers, I wanted to show you these new earrings. I bought these from the Farmer's Daughter Fibers. Candace is the indigenous woman who owns this company and runs a great team, and these earrings are not made by her team, but she carried them in her shop from a local maker in Montana. They're based in Montana, and they're super lightweight. They're leather and metal, leather and copper maybe? I can't remember right now, but it's like a light pink. They are longer than I thought. I mean, there were dimensions, I'm sure, on the listing, but I just forgot. So they don't quite touch my shoulders, but they're like almost there, and oh, they're just delightful. I love them, and they go with my outfit. I have like kind of a terracotta peachy pink linen dress underneath my sweater. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I'll stand on the chair. There we go. So it just goes with my outfit, and it's really fun, and I like the lines. I feel like the lines go with the lines on my sweater, and it's kind of simplistic, minimalistic, but adds a little something. So I love them. All right, took out the tea bag, switched the laundry over. Oh, the sunlight is so nice. I know it's going to blow out some things and it's just going to keep shifting, but we love the sunshine, and so we're just going to roll with it. We are on to works in progress. The first one I'm going to share with you is an ongoing one, and again, if you've been here before, you'll have seen this project in multiple renditions, in multiple color combinations, for now over a year. Do you have a guess as to what it might be? It is the Half and Half Triangles wrap by Pearl Soho. It is a free pattern. This is my 6th one, maybe. This is a pattern that I enjoy having on my needles because it is one that I don't have to reference the pattern. It is one that I can just pick up and put down wherever. I don't have to keep track of what row I am on, and it's just simple. It is very simple, and I don't like calling it something that's mindless, because I feel like, not the opposite, but I feel like when my mind has a lot of stuff going on, it is something that I can kind of use to, I want to say, like, bring it in and let it go simultaneously. Like, I can just be, and I can just like use it to sort out my thoughts or to clear space. It's kind of like all those things simultaneously. I often pick it up when I am trying to get my kids to go to bed, or maybe they need mommy to sit in their room for a little bit, so I'll have a neck light on and be knitting in the dark. With the neck light, and waiting for them to fall asleep, or having them tell me about their day, or whatever their last, thoughts are as they're going to sleep, or a lot of times they'll say, Mommy, tell me something to dream about. So we'll talk about something, or we'll make up a story, or something like that. And so this is something that I can talk and parent and be present for my kids while still doing something that I enjoy, something that brings me like peace, and it's a comforting knit for me. And I say this not to like feel like I have to explain myself. I say it to share with you what this project means for me. And maybe it means something similar to you, or maybe you have other projects that mean something similar, or maybe not at all, which is totally fine too. And I know there's some people that end up with these feelings like that they feel like they need to make one, or they feel like people say they have to make one, and I'm not like that at all. Everybody finds their rhythm in a different way, and there's like literally thousands of projects out there, and they just mean different things to different people. And so this one holds that space of the things I just talked about for me, and that's why I have had one on the needles for, I guess, since July 2022. I've just constantly had one on the needles. So, and I also name them. So I name my projects based on something I'm inspired by, or that time in my life that I'm knitting it through, or the colors. But yeah, so this one is called Dawn and Dusk. And the pattern is written for Purl Soho's linen quill base, which, again, if you've been here for a while, I use linen quill a lot for a lot of different projects. I think it's on one of the projects I'll share with you later. But this one, I changed it up a little. I used a new to me base called Quartz. It's also by Purl Soho. And oh, it's so soft and drapey. It is also a fingering weight yarn. And this first color I'm using is called Gray Denim. Let's see if I have, do I have a ball band left in here? I do not have a ball band in here, but, and I don't have my second color in this bag either. It is 420 yards for 100 grams. It is 65% merino wool and 35% Surrey alpaca. So super drapey. It is not superwash. It ends up with this beautiful, fuzzy, slight subtle halo. My second color is Lavender Moon, which is a very, oh, you know what? I can show you the second color. So I knit this hat here, and I use the two colors. I've talked about this as a finished project somewhere else. It's a Muscle Burrow hat, which is a pattern by Zolda Teague. But here's Lavender Moon, and there is some variation to it in a kind of a semi-solid quality, and it's a very soft, subtle, muted lavender color. So that's my second colors. And you can see here, so this is the fabric knitted up stockinette on US 3.25 millimeter needles, and then this is the pattern knit up in garter, or not pattern, the yarn knit up in garter. Same color, same needles. So I cast on 230 stitches, which is a stitch count between the big and the bigger size in the pattern. The pattern has it 190 and then 260. And I found that medium 230 stitches to be perfect for me. With the linen quill base, which is 437 yards for 100 grams, I am able to use 2 skeins of each color to knit the whole thing. And I usually end up with like 5 to 10 grams remaining, which is probably only because the skeins that I've received have always been over 100 grams, anywhere from like 103 to even 107. And so I usually end up using like 200 grams of each color, which saves you a little bit, because if you were to knit the 260 stitch, you have to buy 3 skeins of each color, and you don't use the full skein of that last one of each color. And so then to not have as many leftover yarns, or to just not have to purchase 2 additional skeins, I have found that 2 and 2 of each one works really well for me. And I'm able to still block it out to pretty close, if not the same as the larger size. I just kind of aggressively block it out. It's garter, so it's pretty stretchy, and so it works really well for me. Now, your gauge may vary, so it may or may not work for you, but it works for me. I'm using US 3, 3.25 millimeter needles, and yeah, I love it. So last time I showed you this project was about a month ago. I figured since this is a long-term project, I can share it maybe once a month, so I don't have to go through all the details every single time, but I did want to share with you where I'm at. So this moon, Crescent Moon Progress Keeper here, this is made by my friend Maria of Woolen Forest. Her Etsy shop is Forest Charm. So I was about an inch in last time I shared this with you, and I cast this on New Year's Eve, so December 31st, 2022, and it is now the beginning of February 2023. Yeah, I think the aim is to finish this sometime in May. It's an arbitrary deadline. It's my own deadline. It's my own project. I can do whatever I want. So I would just like to have it done sometime around there, but if I don't, it's okay too. So I think initially I was hoping for end of April. Our last Risk of Frost isn't until middle of May, so I still have chances of wearing it, and honestly, I wear knit stuff almost year round. There's only like maybe 2 months that are really too hot for knitwear, but even then the summer evenings can sometimes be chilly. But yeah, I just love this project so much, and yeah, maybe the next time I'll share it with you will be when I've gone into the second skein of this first color, and we'll see where we're at. But I'm gonna move this marker, this moon one, up, and we'll see where I'm at next time. There we go. So now it's at the top of there, and we'll see where I'm at next time. Next up are a pair of socks that were requested by our 6-year-old. Usually I knit socks for our 9-year-old, and when she outgrows them, they go to our 6-year-old. But she hasn't really outgrown many pairs of socks, because I realized that I had some socks in my sock drawer from earlier on when I was knitting socks that have either shrunk a little from just washing over time, or maybe my gauge was a lot tighter, or maybe at that time I thought I wanted more negative ease. Whatever the case may be, some of them are a little too snug on me, or even a little too short in length. And so I've gifted them to her, and she loves them. The toe could probably be shortened some, which means like I could rip it back and like re-knit the toe, but she says they're fine because she doesn't like outgrowing stuff. I mean, especially stuff that I knit her, but in general, she doesn't like outgrowing stuff because she's really attached to the things she wears. And yeah, so she's okay with the toe being slightly too long, and she just wears them like that. So she hasn't outgrown many socks because they are, you know, socks that I knit for me, which were slightly small, which then fit her slightly big. Anyway, long story long, our 6-year-old requested some socks, and she asked if she could pick the colors. So we pulled out my little scrap bin of yarn, and which I've divided up into warm colors and cool colors, and then we kind of went through there, and then she picked up what she wanted, and I thought she did a wonderful job. And I'll show you where we're at. These are the yarns. So we went with a cool color palette. She specifically told me she wanted the darker yarn to be the cuff and the heel, and it might end up being the toe as well. And then these colors here, she actually put in an order for me also, and I took a picture of it because I needed to remember the order, so while I'm working on them and she's not around, that I do them in the correct order. And I will show you where I'm at. So I am knitting them on US 1 2.25 millimeter 9-inch needles. Knitting them in tandem, so 2 at a time. And here we are. Oh, they're so cute. So the yarns are all light fingering weight yarn. So anywhere from like 437 to 463 yards for 100 grams. And so my gauge using US 1 needles with lightweight fingering yarn is more like 9 stitches per inch. So I cast on 56 stitches. And I did a 1 by 1 knit 1 purl 1 ribbing for the cuff. And then I'm doing a knit 3 purl 1 for the color stripes, and I'm doing 10 rounds per stripe. I put in a shadow wrap heel, and yeah, for the foot I'm doing the 3 by 1 in the top part and then stockinette on the bottom of the foot. So yeah, I just knit 1 stripe at a time and then go on to the other sock. So they are in the same spots right now, and hopefully I'll add on another stripe to each one. I knit in the ends as I go, so I don't really have much to do when I'm finished with them, when I graft the toes. And she wears like a 11 shoe, size 11 I think. And her foot circumference is 6.5 inches and her foot length is 6.5 inches. And yeah, so this is where we're at. I told her I would probably have them done by Valentine's Day. We'll see. I think that's a good place to be. I think I just have a few more stripes to go because this looks like it's about 4-ish inches maybe. So I think I'm pretty close. If I just do maybe 2 more stripes and a heel, I should be there. Next work in progress is a pair of fingerless mitts for our 9-year-old. I have that in a really pretty patchwork floral project bag here that I sewed, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. Oh, I just love it. It's so cute and springy and summery. So she has a pair of fingerless mitts that I knit her like January 2022, and they still fit really well, but I think the length that covers her fingers could be longer. And the pattern I used or modified from is the Everything November mitts by Jen Yard. It comes in 1 size, and so to make it smaller I just went down the number of stitches I cast on and then shortened the gusset. So I just didn't knit the gusset as long, and then I think everything else you can just kind of shorten. The yarn I'm using is dyed and gifted by my friend Beth of Deciduous Knits. This is the yarn that she dyed for me. She was inspired by the peonies in my garden. Well, we have a lot of different pinks, but one of them is this bright, like magenta fuchsia color, and she knit it on she dyed it on a sparkle base. Hopefully it's not getting too blown out there. But it's very vibrant, and I split the 50-gram skein into 2 so that I could knit them 2 at a time. And here we are. Let me show you where I'm at. These ones I'm knitting on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles, 32-inch Sew Magic loop, and I just finished the hand part and I'm going to start the gusset. Here they are. So it's ribbed, and I think it's beautiful. I think she's going to love them. So I will knit them longer. I still cast on the same number of stitches from last time because she still said they fit really well. I feel like fingerless mitts feel better if they're more fitted than too loose. And since there's ribbing, it's there's some elasticity to it. But yeah, hopefully you can see the sparkle, especially with sunshine today. Maybe if I kind of wiggle it around. So yes, these are a work in progress. I'm hoping to have them also done by Valentine's Day. Speaking of Valentine's Day, I'd like to share with you a project bag that I showed up for a new work in progress that I've just barely started. But here's the bag. Oh, isn't it so pretty? I love the watercolor hearts. This fabric is from Joann's. And I put like a cotton linen denim-y zipper tabby thing. I don't know what you call it at the end there. And a strap here, not necessarily for like walking and knitting, but more so to have a handle to grab, because on the drawstring bags, when it's cinched, I have the cords that I can hold on to, but with these it doesn't work like that. I was going to initially put the handle here where I sew in the zipper, but I forgot, so I put it to the side. This cord here on the Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sock Squad sock set, the main skein and the mini are tied together with this cord. They all come like this. And so I have been reusing them on all zipper pulls. So any project bag with a zipper gets one of these ties. And I'll show you what's inside. It is the Farmer's Daughter Fibers February Sock Squad. Here is the tag. This is a new base for Sock Squad. It's called Rocky Mountain Pearls. 80% superwash BFL, which is blue-faced Leicester, a breed of sheep. 20% nylon, 400 yards for 100 grams. And I am going to be knitting the Kindling Socks by Lindsay Fowler of Larkspur Knits. I test knit the sock pattern for her back in, I want to say November 2020. And those socks have since gone to our 9-year-old. So I need my own pair. But here is the yarn. I have it split into 2 equal cakes. It is a beautiful variegated earthy pink. It is a pink right up my alley. This is what I love. I love it. There's a great twist to it. I think these will be very nice wearing socks. Soft but still hardy. And this is my start. 2 little itty bitty cuffs. I have on these heart stitch markers, and those are also by Maria Woolen Forest. I thought it went with the theme. Oh, the colorway is called Bitterroot. And let me show you the calendar. So there's a calendar that goes with this annual Sock Squad subscription. It's a monthly yarn subscription. And here is the calendar, and this month's color is Bitterroot, and this is the illustration, Bitterroot and the Bumblebee. And this year's theme is all wildflowers and it's pollinators, and I'm here for all of that. So excited about it. And I just love, last month's was amazing too, and this month's is also so good. I just love it. So I have a lot of things that I want to do this month. I always have a lot of ideas bubbling, and I'm always jotting down notes in my project notebook. But yeah, I've cast on a lot of things recently, and a lot of things that I also want to finish. But most of them are relatively small, so I think I can do it. My daughter's mitts and socks, and my socks, I would love to all have done in February. Okay. I think I have 2 more works in progress to share with you, and then a swatch. The Sheep Camp Sweater by Jen Berg of Native Knits. I shared you the start of it. Not the start of it. Well, yeah, the start of it. I think I was still in the yoke before sleeve separation last time, and it's in this beautiful plaid bag that I talked about last time. And the yarns I'm using here are Pearl Soho's Linen Quill. It's a fingering weight yarn that I've held double. And here is one of the tags. So it's 50% fine Highland wool, 35% alpaca, 15% linen, 439 yards for 100 grams. It is not super wash. And the colors I'm using are Juniper Green and Pale Mushroom. Here is the Pale Mushroom color. It is a very neutral, soft, warm, I think it leans warm gray. It's a gray, but it leans warm. There we go. And here is the green, which I've used as the contrast color. This is what I have left of the full skein. It's very heathered. The darker colors show up more heathering because linen doesn't take up the dye the same way. And so it's a beautiful deep forest green with a lot of variation in the green. And I'll show you where I'm at. Oh, I'm so excited about this project. Oh, you know what? It might be kind of tricky to show you right now. So I actually have twine tying up the bulk of my sweater right now because I am working on a sleeve. And when you're knitting a sleeve, the rest of the sweater is like flailing about all over the place as I'm going around and around. So I usually try to tie it up so that it doesn't flail about as much. And so yeah, that's why it's tied up. But let me untie it so I can show you the whole sweater better. So what I like to do is I'll finish up the yoke, and when I run out of yarn for that first skein or two or whatever I'm working on, then I'll jump to the sleeves. Take a break, you know, go to the sleeves, knit those to where I want them to be. Maybe I finish the sleeves, maybe I don't, maybe I go back to the body, whatever the case may be. Some of it depends on yarn management. Am I playing yarn chicken? Do I need to be mindful of how much yarn I use up in the sleeve versus the body? Which one am I more okay with things shorter? Do I need to have longer? Whatever the case may be. In this one, I will not be running out of yarn, so I have the freedom of knitting either one to whatever length I want. I am going to hold it up. So I actually have two sleeves going currently. Oh, isn't it so beautiful? I have steam blocked the yoke and the fabric is so smooth. There's zero puckering. The color work shows up nice and even. It is a beautiful fabric. I'm very proud of my floats, which I don't know if I can really show you. Oh, here we go. I'll show you through the neckline here. Here's the inside of my sweater. I just feel like it is so tidy and the tension is very even. So I have one cake of yarn being held in one sleeve. So I'm pulling from the center and the outside since I'm holding this yarn double. It's a DK weight pattern. And so I've just taken the needles off the 16-inch cable here because I'm working the other sleeve and just put on stoppers. So I have them each on these short 16-inch cables. I'm using short-tipped interchangeable needles. These are by Knit Picks. And so then I'll just work however long I feel like I need to work and then switch to the other sleeve. And I have light bulb stitch markers marking every 10 rounds. I am not doing the decreases per pattern. I'm just knitting a straight sleeve. Part of it because when I looked at the schematics, I didn't want a tight sleeve. I don't like tight sleeves, so I would rather them be looser than too tight. So I'm just knitting them straight down. I'll do a rapid decrease before a cuff and go from there. So this is where I'm at. And the body, I also have on stoppers there because that's where I ran out. And so I just stopped and then went to the sleeves. So body I also knit longer. I knit I think twice as long as the pattern. It's pretty cropped in the pattern, but I knew I did not want a cropped sweater. I would get more wear out of one that was longer. And if I'm gonna wear it with a dress, I can always belt it and then tuck it in or kind of fold it under if I wanted to. But if it's too short or cropped, then I feel like I have less options of wearing it with different outfits. So my sleeve is currently maybe to 3/4 length-ish. So I have a little bit longer to go before I do a short cuff. Oh, I love how this is coming out. There is positive ease, and it's going to be kind of a slightly oversized. I'm not sure entirely what gets categorized as oversized or not, but yeah, I think this will be done by the time we come back. I love it so much. Let me flip to my project page here in my notebook. I did go over a lot of details last time, I think, so I feel like I don't need to do a whole rundown. If you're curious on details, maybe go to the previous episode, because then I will probably be going over all the details in the next one because it'll be finished and I'll be wearing it. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm using US 7s, which is 4.5mm needles, and I did it for the yoke and for the stockinette part. It is what the pattern said to do, and so that's what I did. I do not find my colorwork tension to be particularly tight in a sweater. For socks, I will go up needle size, being on such a small circumference, but for sweaters, I feel like I might not have to. I feel like sometimes I overcompensate because I really don't want tight floats that I make it almost too loose. And so maybe sticking with the same needles, and I think some of it depends on the colorwork pattern as well. Am I knitting 1 by 1? Am I knitting like very short repeats or longer repeats? Are there big floats? Things like that. But yes, I love the contrast yoke going on here. I love the earthy vibes and the neutral palette, and I feel like I can really wear this with anything. And being slightly oversized, my gauge was a little bit off, so I'm gonna end up with I think 5 or 6 inches of positive ease instead of 4, which is what I wanted. And yeah, I feel like this is gonna be so good. The fabric feels so nice. I feel like it's got a little bit of weight to it, but it's not super heavy, and I don't feel like it'll be weighed down by the sleeves. I feel like there are some sweaters that as I'm knitting it, I feel like it's going to droop maybe, or just maybe not hang as well, and I'm not getting that feeling from this one. I'm getting good vibes from this one. But yeah, I am going to package it back up here so that I can keep knitting on the sleeves without it flopping around, except now, where did my twine go? Oh, here it is. So I'm just gonna tie that back up like a present, and then tuck it back into my project bag. Here we go. Not as tidy as the first time, but it works. So in a couple of weeks, this will be done. Okay, friends, last work in progress to share with you. And then I do have a swatch, but we'll see if I get to it. The battery is running super low and I don't have a backup. This is a super old camcorder. Yeah, so we'll see how far we get. Next one is the academic vest. It is by Ellie of Skandir Knits. I am so excited to share with you the progress on this one. It's an exciting project because it's something I have never done before. I've knit a lot of color work, but I have not knit a color work vest. It's knit bottom up. It is steeked. The neck, I was gonna say neck hole? The neck, what do you call it? Neck hole? I don't know. And the arm holes? I don't know, it sounds really strange. Anyway, those are steeked, and so your color work keeps going in around, and then you have these steek stitches, and you have these like, anyway, it's very fascinating, and it is not just doing some research, it is not like a technique specific to Ellie of Skandir Knits. It's a technique that is done on lots of things, especially with vests and color work. And so I'm gonna share with you what I have learned. And yeah, it's very exciting. So as a refresher on my colors, I'm using Pearl Soho's Good Wool, which is 100% Andean Highland wool. This is non-superwash, which is important because for color work, especially in steeking, a sticky wool, which is generally not superwash, is important for, well, you're gonna be cutting open your knitting, and so you want stitches to stay in place. And this is a sport weight yarn. Here is the tag. It comes in 383 yards for 100 grams. And my main color is Driftwood Gray, which is a very soft heathered light gray. Then I have Teal Twilight, which is a heathered deep vibrant teal. Guava Earth is kind of a terracotta color. Himalayan Salt, I think, is a very light peachy pink. And fresh loganberry is like a jammy, plummy berry color. So these are my 5. So you only ever hold 2 colors at a time. However, there is a lot of switching of colors. And granted, you can do whatever you want. So if you don't want to switch that many times, then just don't. I did follow the color work chart. Like I mentioned last time, I had to rewrite it in my project notebook because I was getting kind of mixed up. I do print it out, and in grayscale, everything just ends up looking the same. So, and it was too many colors to really color over it, so I just had to redraw the color work chart. But besides that, let me show you where I'm at, because this is so exciting. Check this out! I have steam blocked it, and just check out that fabric. I'm just gonna tell you, I'm super proud of myself at this no pucker, smooth fabric. It looks really good, doesn't it? I'm just tooting my own horn here, and I say it looks pretty good. It is good to be proud of your work, people. I'm going to show you the inside. Check out these floats. Look how even this is. It's also the yarn, I will say. The yarn is a delight to knit with. It feels really nice in hand. It's a drier yarn, and it just feels like woolly without being scratchy. I don't feel like it's scratchy whatsoever. It's soft and woolly, and it's so nice to knit with. I really, really enjoy it. And here are all my ends on the side here. Some I have woven in already just to kind of get them out of the way because I was getting a little mixed up. Like I would pick up the tail to knit with instead of the working yarn. So I had to just get some of them out of the way by weaving them in. The ones closer to the top here have not been woven in. But let me tell you about this process. It is fascinating. If you've never done it before, I feel like it's a little intimidating because I couldn't picture it. I couldn't figure out what I was doing. But if you've done it before, then you'll be like, it's pretty cool magic. And I will say it is very cool magic. So you knit bottom up. You know what, I'm gonna sit down. I'm like way too close to the screen there, sorry. So you knit bottom up, and then when you get to where you're gonna split for sleeves, you bind off some, and then you cast on your steek stitches. And what's cool here with these steek stitches is that it's very well outlined where you're gonna cut. And I just put markers here so I didn't forget what I was doing, since this is not a familiar technique to me, just to give me a little more guidance, I guess. So this is where I'm going to be cutting later. And I have started for the V-neck part, so same thing. You cast off some stitches and then you cast on some stitches for the steeking. Isn't that neat? Oh, it's so cool! And then here's the other armhole with the bound off stitches and then the cast on stitches for the steek. Fascinating, right? So I just keep knitting in the round. The part that's a little bit confusing is knowing where you are in the pattern as you're like doing decreases, right, for the armhole shaping and decreases for the V-neck shaping, just to make sure the pattern still lines up correctly. I would say this is an intermediate pattern. I feel like it's not hard, but there's definitely a variety of techniques involved, and being able to read, I want to say read your knitting, but like be able to read the color work chart and just placement wise, right? Maybe if it was only 2 colors instead of 5 colors, it wouldn't be as like concentration intensive. I don't know how else to say it. Focused concentration. I definitely cannot work on this with the kids around. I have to really focus. So this is something that, I have to be in the right mindset and in a very quiet space to work on. But yeah, I just find it fascinating, and I'm so excited about this. I feel like it's working out really well, and so I am, pretty close to finishing. And so once I get to the top, well, I'll figure out what that is when I get there. And then you'll 3 needle bind off the shoulders together. And then once I do reinforcing for the steeking, there's like crochet reinforcing you can do, there's felting, I might do all of it, there's sewing, and then you cut. And then once you cut, then you pick up to do like the ribbing for, you know, the V-neck band and then the armhole band. Is that really what it's called? Why can't I think of it? Armhole band? Like at the end of a sleeve there's a cuff, right? But it's not really a cuff. There's armhole ribbing. Why can't I? Maybe that's all it is. I don't know why it's sounding really strange. But anyway, I'm so close and I really love how this is turning out. I love how the colors are playing together. I feel like this is a color palette that works for winter, fall, or spring. I'm not saying summer because I don't plan on wearing this in the summer. But yeah, I have a progress keeper here. This is also by Maria of Woolen Forest. It's a kyanite stone gem. I thought it went really well with this project and so I have it there. But yeah, I don't anticipate this one being done next time we chat. I guess it depends on when we sit down to chat. It is one that definitely takes more, like I said, focused attention. But I don't know, maybe the steaks will be cut next time. I don't know. So exciting. But yes, this is a really fun project that I'm learning a lot from, and I could definitely see myself knitting more than one just to kind of try out that technique and like figure out different ways. Like it seems to be something that you can apply to different things. Like if I wanted to pull out my Strange Brew book from Tin Can Knits that has a whole bunch of different color work motifs in it, I could definitely use that same vest pattern with those stitch counts, put in whatever I want for motif wise or stripes or solid or whatever, and do the same technique for the rest of it. And yeah, I think it could be really cool. So stay tuned for that one. Okay, we are down to the last project that I want to share with you today. And it is one that I've swatched for, and I'm not going to say too much because I'm running out of time here, but I will talk about it more next time. But since there was a sneak peek of it at the end of the vlog in the beginning, I feel like it would just be mean to not share it. It is housed in a beautiful project bag that I sewed up a couple years ago that is just so springy and summery, and it is indicative of what is in the bag. And if you are new here, I do not sell my project bags. I do not use a tutorial specifically. I do not follow a pattern specifically. I make whatever I want, however way I want to. The fabrics I buy from all over the place, sometimes Spoonflower, Joann Fabrics, local fabric shops, and some of the fabrics I've had for probably 10 plus years, other ones might be more recent. I try to get just what I need. A lot of times I like to go through remnant bins at fabric shops because they are heavily discounted fabrics and they're just smaller amounts, and less than a yard can go a long way in fabric. So anyway, that's just a tidbit on that. The yarns I am using. Okay, now you might need your sunglasses to look at this. This is Pearl Soho Linen Quill in Bright Flamingo. It is as bright as it looks. It is like a neon fluorescent coral color. And I am holding it together with a discontinued yarn from Knit Picks. It's called Alpaca Bloom. And this colorway is Champagne Peach. And it is discontinued, so I think it's a Surrey alpaca with a nylon core. So I'm holding these two together, and this is my swatch. Ready? Oh, isn't that lovely? It is airy, it is light, it is fun, whimsical. This is knit on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 US 10 needles, which is 6mm, and this will be turning into a Love Note sweater by Tin Can Knits. and I am so excited for it. It's going to be light and airy, perfect for spring, still a little bit of warmth, a layering piece that I can throw on over a linen dress, like a sleeveless linen dress, or maybe a tank top with jeans or something like that. And yeah, I'm just super excited for it. So that is all I've got to share with you for that. And if I get some of my other things done, then maybe I'll have more to share with you on a Love Note sweater next time. On to the Eats and Reads section. I'm going to try to go through this quickly because I believe my battery doesn't have much left. But in the beginning, you'll have seen I've done a ton of baking and a ton of cooking. Hopefully I'll have text with the different bakes so you know maybe what cookbook they've come from. I'm going to flash the cookbooks for you real quick, and I will write out what they are in the description box below. But one of them is Moon Cakes and Milk Bread by Christina Cho. I think I made some sort of sponge cake out of it in cupcake form. So that will have been in the beginning. Another one is A Common Table by Cynthia Chen McTernan, who's also known as the creator of True Red Bowls. And from this one, I think I made the black sesame butter mochi cake. I think so. So I love this cookbook. I've made a lot of things from it and they've all tasted delicious. There's like a kimchi fried chicken burger that looks amazing. And yeah, anyway, love this book. A curry that I think I showed in the beginning is inspired from this book, Isa Does It. It is all vegan recipes. You can sub how you want to if you are vegan or not. And it's a curry recipe that is very versatile, I think, to whatever you have in your fridge. So like sometimes I have tofu and I put that in. Sometimes I put in chickpeas. Sometimes I do both. Sometimes there's broccoli. Sometimes there's edamame. Whatever is in the kitchen and available goes in. So I love that curry recipe from here. There's lots of other recipes that I've tried from here that have all turned out really good. And so this is a cookbook that ends up, what would you say, heavy rotation maybe, but gets flipped open pretty often around here. Okay, I finished a book. You know what? I always get kind of annoyed. Not annoyed, that's not the right word. But it's hard to show the, you know what, I'm going to flash a picture here on the screen so you can see the cover of the book. Because it's from the library, they always have these book covers, right? And so it's like super shiny and you can't really see anything. But I've started the series, The Barren Grounds by David A. Robertson. It was recommended by another person who had commented, so thank you. I won't say their name because I didn't like get permission to like publicly say anything, so I'm not going to do that, but thank you, you know who you are. I finished the first book of the series. It is like a middle school age, maybe reading level. I'm going to read it to you, just the first couple of sentences on the inside of the book cover, so you can kind of get a sense maybe for what it is. Morgan and Eli, two Indigenous children forced away from their families and communities, are brought together in a foster home in Winnipeg, Manitoba. They each feel disconnected from their culture and from each other, and they struggle to fit in at school and at their new home, until they find a secret place walled off in an unfinished attic bedroom. That's all I'm going to read to you because I'm getting a flashing signal on here. Okay, so I just briefly charged the battery so that I can wrap this up and finish, but I think I got through like partway through the inner cover part about the Barren Grounds, but it is really good. I've really enjoyed the first book. I have checked out the second book from the library and I will be starting that one soon, and I will let you know about it next time. What I really like about the author's writing style is, okay, so here's the one thing. I have to remember that it's written for a middle school audience, but at the same time, I feel like some of the descriptions I'm like craving slightly more. I love the magical realism part of it, and as someone that likes to really immerse themselves into what they read, I'm like wanting a little more description, but at the same time, like it's provided me with enough to have a picture in my head. So in a sense, I feel like I want more, but at the same time, I feel like I like what's there. So that's kind of the sense of this author's writing style that's like vibing with me right now. Yeah, but that's where I'm at with that. I promised a question for you that has been kind of like popped up in my head as I've been playing with all of this color and just like the magic of yarn and fabric and the magic that we can create, okay? So my question for you is, if you could be a colorway, not make a colorway, but if you could be like embodied as a colorway, what would it look like? It can either be your whole personality, or it could just be your current mood, or what you wish you were like, or what you know, like, not wish what you were like. Let me state that a different way. What you wish would, like, you would portray yourself like. So maybe you're comfortable in a certain way, but that's not how you act outwardly. Maybe that's not how you present yourself, right? But you are truly inside. You know how you really are. What would that colorway be? What would it look like? Speckled, variegated, moody, bright, color changing? It is up to you. You are the artist. Let me know in the comments below if you would like to play along, what your colorway would be, and maybe what it would even be called. I don't know. With that, cheers to being creative. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are taking good care of yourselves, your loved ones, your neighbors, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.